And this is the sound check.
Sounding a sound for Checky McCheckerson in the check house, where the
Right.
fiery check of
The check's not done.
the weapon. Okay, I'm done.
I just intercepted your check with my check. 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 Check.
And I am checking to check for any available checks out there that have not been checked. Check?
I pulled Gogeta SSJ4.
Nice. Star Trek check off.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Geek podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek podcast.
Hello, Get Geek Nation, and welcome to this next episode of the Get Geek podcast. I'd like to welcome everybody here and introduce the crew. My name is Walt. Guys, introduce yourselves.
This is Wolfie.
AJ.
Eli.
And before we start our podcast, of course, I would like to remind you to please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It is the best and easiest way for you guys to help out our little cast here. That being
Like
said,
and share too. Don't forget to like and share.
Yes, like and share as well. Tell everybody out there about the Get Geek podcast.
And we mean everybody.
Everybody.
And we mean everybody.
Yeah. Remember that scene in The Professional with Gary Oldman? Did you ever see The Professional?
Oh, come on. Are you kidding me?
The part where he says, "Who should we call, boss?" Everybody. Who? Everybody. You know?
The question is, do I remember The Professional?
Oh, you have to. You have to do it. All right. Anyway, let's get started because we've got a pretty interesting episode today. We're going to be talking about 2 Disney Plus shows, right? And well, Gabe, why don't you give us the hook of this episode?
Well, we're gonna ask you guys the question, or at least maybe try to help answer the question: is it worth watching? You know, so it's been kind of a funny ride with the Star Wars shows as well as with the Marvel shows, and it seems that there are some similarities as well as some fresh new content coming out from one and or the other. But why don't we go right into it? I think we're gonna start with the Bad Batch, right?
Yeah, and let's alert everybody that this is going to be a spoiler heavy episode. We're not going to give you any we're just going to get right into it, right? Because I think that's the best way to discuss what we want to talk about today.
Right, it's not a review. This isn't necessarily a review or anything like that. We will be spoiling some events that happen in the shows and stuff like that. But this is more of a kind of a dialogue, trying to figure out, what nowadays with such little time and so much stuff out there.
Yeah,
do we rearrange our schedules to see these shows as they come out? And just so you guys know, the second show that we're going to be talking about is Loki. But again, we're going to start with Bad Batch. And I want to ask you guys real quick before we get into whether it's worth watching or not. How do you guys, just quick little snippet, what do you guys think so far of the show?
Well, here's the thing. We started... I was on vacation for a little bit. And I said to myself, hey, you know what? If I get the chance, maybe at night, I'll go and watch it. But here's the thing. Granted, I did get busy, but at the same time, I never really took the time to go and say, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do this now. So it's unfortunate because I mean I was kind of looking forward to the show, but perhaps not as badly as Walt.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's just it hasn't. It, nothing's really struck, honestly.
Okay. What about you, Eli?
Sucked.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
straight to it,
Wait,
right?
hold on. Is everyone caught up? Wait, is
to it.
everyone caught up? I believe
Yeah.
there's 10 episodes and it's
Yes.
16 episode season, right?
Yes,
So we're
it
a little
is.
bit past the halfway mark, but it just totally sucked.
Yeah, it just sucks. The only thing that's there's little bits and pieces that are actually like somewhat good, but like for the most part, there's not really anything that you want to look forward to when watching Bad Batch. It's just it's the same. It's it's just not
New.
no. Yeah, it's not new. It's
Right.
not a. It's not. You're just they're just taking old content and reusing it basically.
So Walt, who I think is the probably the most dissenting of the crew.
Well, it's funny because, like AJ said, I was really looking forward to this show. You know, it's driven by these group of characters, the Bad Batch, which we saw in Clone Wars, right? And if you know the history, this is something that Lucas actually envisioned way back when he still had control of Star Wars, and Filoni actually intended to put them in very early in the Clone Wars, but never got around to it. So a lot of the stuff that we saw at the end of Clone Wars was repurposed situations that they had already fleshed out.
Mhm.
The thing about it that I was excited about was this kind of reminded me a little bit, and maybe you guys remember this, of the old game Republic Commando. And I kind of envisioned something a little bit similar in terms of, you had these group of five genetically modded commandos, clone troopers, and I originally thought maybe they were going to show some past um missions that they had,
Mhm.
um or at the very least show something new, but they chose, and this is kind of like a thing that we're seeing in a lot of these Disney Plus shows, they chose to really focus around the events of Order 66.
Right.
We're seeing a lot of shows, kind of jump into that period, and it just AJ didn't get a chance to watch it. We were actually 3 episodes behind before we discussed doing the episode today on Bad Batch, so we had to catch up on those 3 episodes. And the reason why we were 3 episodes behind is because I didn't have the feeling that I really needed to watch this. It was kind of
Right.
it's kind of floundering for me. And even though the last couple episodes were a little bit better, I still don't see the direction of the show, and it's not that appealing to me because, and especially you, Wolfie, you mentioned this, we're seeing the same thing. So
Right.
you can talk about that. I'm gonna leave that piece to you.
Right. No. So so the before we get into that, like I want to ask you, like, do you think it was like a wrong decision to focus on Order 66? Me personally, I like the idea of focusing all the the overarching storylines of the expanded universe on the Disney Plus series, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
surrounding Order 66. I just wish that it was more about like the actual fallout and not what we're seeing, which is a monster of the week, you know, go fetch it mission story. You know what I mean? Like, like it'd be great if like every single episode lent a little bit to the fallout of Order 66, how it affected the Empire and
Right.
the galaxy as a whole, but it doesn't. If you
It-
think about it, it's only like been touched on maybe 3 of the episodes, right?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
The initial episode, the
Which was
episode where
fantastic, right?
yeah, Right. It was amazing. That first episode was like, oh man, what a ride. I can't wait.
Exactly.
Which seems to be like the formula that they're following. Amazing first episode, a bunch of fillers in the middle. Then we'll get to the actual story that we want to tell at the end. But let's tell this story 3 times.
Yeah. You lose the audience that way.
Yeah.
And I have to question the reasoning behind 16 episodes for this show, because I don't feel you need 16 episodes right now.
Absolutely not.
We're wasting time, and I think again that leads to the whole losing of the audience, which happened to us because you hit us with that fantastic first episode, and then you kind of like flail around for the next 6, and you're like waiting for something to happen, waiting for the actual storyline to happen, and you don't get it until like the later episodes. By that time you lose the audience because the audience wants to see something, and you're just doing, like you said, monster of the week. It feels like you're on the 5th mission of a video game that you have to complete,
So now here's the thing. It's kind of funny because we are going to talk about Loki a little bit later, but we're talking about 2 properties that are under the same house on the same streaming platform. And when I think about Marvel, think about it. We kind of complained a little bit like, oh man, why do these shows have such little episodes? But then again, not a single one of those episodes are fillers.
Right, exactly.
I would rather have 6 to 8 episodes of no fillers, all story every single week. I'm like, man, I can't miss this episode. Than what we're getting with the Bad Batch, where we literally did not need 6 of the episodes easily.
Right, exactly.
We needed the first episode. We needed the episode where Wrecker went crazy because it talked about like the whole the implanted chip.
He is by way. I'm sorry, but he is by far and away my favorite character on the show.
Oh my god, Wrecker's amazing. Yeah, I love Wrecker.
He's the only guy that really truly has any personality on that show.
That's very true. Everyone else kind of seems very draw. Echo. They all seem kind of very, very similar in like their actions, in their train of thought, in their thinking process, in their interactions. Wrecker's the only one that's very like different. He has a relationship with
Omega.
I almost called her Beta. He has a relationship with Omega. He has his relationship with the guys. Even in the last episode, we saw him blanking on the names of the characters.
You have Hunter. You have Echo.
Yeah, Hunter. So you saw him kind of shoulder bump Hunter.
Yes,
kind of like
I noticed that also, dope, right?
So like Wrecker's the only one that has like real personality, but so far, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like this show would have been so far okay if we did the first episode, maybe a filler in between the first and second episode, and then the third episode be the one where Wrecker went crazy. He went Wreck-It Ralph. You know what I mean?
There you go.
And then we get the Cad Bane and the Fennec Shanda episodes.
Yeah, I mean
and the last episode. That's 6 episodes. What are your guys' favorite episodes out of this Bad Batch of episodes?
that is not good.
Oof.
Eli, I want to ask Eli, what's your favorite episode out of this Bad Batch?
The first one. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Did nobody like the Cad Bane introduction?
No. Don't get me wrong. I love Cad Bane. I've never seen him before in Clone Wars, so I guess it was like a good intro to who Cad Bane is. But like, we didn't need that. We didn't need Cad Bane or Fennec Shan to make it a good show. That's what's really disappointing to me because you're using. I mean, I get it. You do this in other shows, but it's like, it's almost like just because Bad Batch is a bad show, as of right now, they're using Cad Bane to draw in more of their viewers or something like that, right? Because Cad Bane is their only highlight so far, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I like just a quick note to the viewers. Keep in mind that every host, they are entitled to their own opinions, and it does represent the podcast as a whole. Okay, I don't think that it's a bad show. I just don't think it's a good show. It's somewhere like I'm indifferent.
I think this is probably the best way to explain it. It's a good. They have good episodes, right? but in the grand scheme of things, they don't tie well together.
Well,
Yeah.
You're right, because the episodes haven't been bad,
Yeah.
you know,
They're not
but
boring.
I don't
right,
know.
but they just don't. There's no. It seems like there's no direction right now.
Hmm.
AJ, what do you think?
Yeah.
Favorite episode. Favorite episode.
So favorite, it's actually going to be like Eli said, the first one, but also the Cat Bane episode.
Because like, come on, like that showdown, that was
Yes,
pretty dope. That was cool. I like how they did that. You know what I mean?
it was.
Yeah.
No, but I got bored during
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, then here's the thing. Let's talk about the next problem, right? The next issue that we're having is that the issue that I had, like I remember I texted you guys, I saw like the Cad Bane episode, and I was like, hey guys, is anybody else caught up? Like I want to talk about this. And in all that excitement because of like how cool it was to see an actual showdown and Cad Bane like, win, like it was just, man, this guy's like Clint Eastwood in the flesh. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then literally as soon as I hit send, I realized, wait a minute, this is the same story from Mandalorian season 1 and 2. Bad guy, boss guy, or underboss comes, uh, gets the upper hand on the protagonist, and then steals away the child for which we have a kind of an obscure origin for, and immediately leaves us in a cliffhanger of, well, now we got to rescue the child. And I was
That
immediately
is
brought back
becoming
down.
a recurring theme.
That's why I found
3
it boring.
shows. Yeah, it's stale. I want to say it's stale.
Yeah.
It's unexciting. I don't want to say it's boring because again, like for me, I liked the action, but it's so repetitive that I'm like, all right, well, I know what the next episode is going to be. They're going to rescue the kid.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm gonna throw two things at you guys, and I want to see what sticks with you guys. This is something that I have said before on many occasions on this podcast, is that I think part of the reason that we're having this issue is that we keep revisiting the same period and the same characters over and over again. And so I think it does. My one point kind of bleeds into my second point here, because I think Star Wars is interesting when it's telling new stories. And I think having to go back to the same period, you kind of pigeonhole yourself into that time period. And this is part of my second point. And I think one of the reasons why Marvel is doing so well is that, they're creating their universe on the fly. And so, everything that's kind of happening, you're seeing that happen in real time now with some of these shows, particularly Loki. It's going back and retelling it, but it's not retelling the main storyline. It's kind of fleshing out its own little niche here. And with Star Wars, you keep going back to the same thing. You keep going back to the whole, Order 66, or, the prequel era, or whatever. You've done so much with that already that you're finding new stories to tell very difficult. And so maybe that's why you go back and rehashing this stuff, because
Well,
you see what I'm trying to get
well,
at,
the thing is that to me, see, that's the thing. Like Marvel, I feel like does revisit the same stories. It's just telling its appendages better, right? Like Loki is what we're seeing is essentially we're seeing Loki in the time of the first Avenger film that we saw. Okay, the very first, that's the timeline of where we are. So we are going back into the history, but they're just telling a
right,
story.
but
that
they're branching away from that. They're not
right.
particularly staying on that storyline
But see,
track.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that it's okay. Like, if they revisit Order 66 and the Fallout, they can show like the Fallout and what branch he created. They're not showing any branches, but they're not even telling the Order 66 story either.
Right.
They're not doing
Yeah,
anything.
honestly,
It's just mission after mission.
Can I just say, if you wanted to do an Order 66 right, maybe don't follow the Bad Batch, but follow a group like the Inquisitors.
Well, there you can follow the Bad Batch, but instead of having this thing where they're trying to protect the child, maybe they're the ones that are being hunted. You know what I'm saying?
That
Have
would have been
have
amazing.
something like that. And again, that's where, if you're gonna do Order 66, I thought that's where it was gonna lie because they set it up so perfectly. I mean, that very first episode, you had Crosshair kind of, you know, separate from the group because and here's a name that you heard one time in this episode and you haven't gone back to it since. Caleb Dune. Kanan
Right.
Jarrus.
Right. Yeah.
Why? What was the purpose of dropping him in that first episode and never showing him again? Crosshair, which is an interesting thing because then you have that dynamic where one of your own teammates is hunting you down. He took off for like 4 or 5 episodes. You
Yeah.
didn't hear
Like,
anything from him.
where's the direction of the show? I have no idea what's going on in the show.
Yeah, so
You
you
know, and
could have done
I
a
think you're
thing.
right. Like
Yeah, you didn't need Omega
I
for
think
the
that that's
show.
sorry. Yeah, you didn't need Omega at all. I have no idea why. And then here's the thing: by introducing Omega and being foresee, that's where they pigeonhole themselves. They pigeonhole themselves into like, let's introduce this character. Well, now the story has to be about this character. Now everything has to be
Right.
about like this character's origins and what effect does it have in the universe, and not the Bad Batch trying to save themselves. You know,
Yep.
if Omega had nothing to do with the show and it was just Echo trying to find the Bad Batch trying to like get the chip removed from their heads, and then trying to like, you know, they're on the run and they realize, you know what, we can't be on the run forever. How do we escape this? You
Mm-hmm.
know, like that should have been the story and everything. If anything, maybe you could have introduced Omega towards the end if you want to pivot the show into a larger story that you want to tell.
Right.
But I feel like they forgot to tell the story of the Bad Batch.
Yeah, it's now become the Omega show. It
Yeah,
really has.
absolutely.
She feels,
And
she
also
almost
the Alpha and Omega show.
Yeah, I know. She also feels like a character that should have been in one episode. Like she feels like a
Yeah.
character where it's like, okay, she's a mission. We have to save her for this. You know,
Right.
and stuff.
That's if anything, maybe even the final mission or the final story arc. You know,
Yeah.
maybe leave it as a cliffhanger where
That's the new
Omega
thread,
is the
you know?
that this could actually have been the second season.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, after you tell the story of the Bad Batch. So the question is this worth watching?
Well, I'm gonna jump back to what AJ said. There's a thought there, and I hate to say it, but I feel like Disney Plus, Lucasfilm would kind of screw this up. The Inquisitors would seem to be a very, very interesting thing to watch. But given the way Bad Batch is going,
Yeah.
I feel like they wouldn't do it well because right now, Bad Batch to me feels like Star Wars Resistance.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Star Wars Resistance was a very interesting show because they were gonna have characters from the sequel show. They had Cassian Andor on the show. You know, they R2D2 and C3PO. Those were the connective tissues. That was super boring because the whole premise of the show, and I know it lasted a couple of seasons before they canceled it, but the whole premise of the show was a kid being on like a a spaceship on a planet, and it's a junk. It was I can't, I'm having trouble explaining it. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine us trying to watch it. You know what I'm saying? I feel Bad Batch is a very big missed opportunity for them because there was a story to tell, and they didn't do it. And right now, it's just floundering. I
But you know,
don't
the thing
see
is,
where this is going.
the thing is, it's weird because I love the Mandalorian, but I did not love the second season because it basically retold the story of the first season.
Yeah.
Maybe in a heightened, you know, way. Maybe in a way that introduced like small little tidbits, you know, like Thrawn, Ahsoka, the Darksaber, and stuff like that. But it's like the story wasn't about Thrawn, Ahsoka, and the Darksaber. It was still the story of like rescuing Grogu, and like Grogu's fate and his origin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this show is. So it's like, how many times are we going to revisit? And then I'm going to ask you, a controversial question. Okay. Is Dave Filoni the god that we expected him to be, or thought that he was in Star
Wait.
Wars?
Hold on,
Uh-oh.
because I'm gonna say this, and I think I made this point to Jose the last time we spoke. The thing that I find interesting about this particular show, and maybe there is something to this, Dave Filoni is not actively involved in this show.
I don't believe so. I don't
Dave
believe that.
Filoni is
Created by
no,
Dave Filoni, executive
because
produced by Dave Filoni. I
right,
don't know,
but
man.
he's not. He doesn't have his fingers on it the way he had Clone Wars, the way he did Rebels, the way he's doing Mandalorian. There is a disconnect with this particular show that you don't see with the others. He may be kind of saying, okay, this is the story that we're telling, but I don't think that he has as much um I don't want to
Reach.
say input and I don't want to say reach. I don't think he's as involved in this show as he was the other ones.
But here's the thing:
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm
all
saying.
right, so AJ, you are the film buff. Okay, as executive producer, does not the executive producer have final say? And that final say that final say comes before they shoot, not after it's done. It's not like, hey, we did this. What do you think?
Well,
To be honest, I don't know the answer to that question. What?
The answer is yes. Is the executive producer? They are the ones that they have to get approval from.
but they work on the pitch of the show. I don't think they're necessarily involved. I don't think they're sitting there on when they're shooting dailies and stuff. And I don't think they're sitting there, in the writers' room and stuff. They're there to kind of facilitate the show being made. So again, and there are
Yeah,
some producers that are very hands on, you know, but then there's a lot of producers that are not. They're there to kind of like
I
get
would
the
wager
money in
that I would.
and stuff. Filoni is a very busy person because right now he's kind of almost, along with John Favreau, they're kind of playing this Kevin Feige role for Star Wars,
Right.
you know.
They're
But
the overseers.
but you got to remember, right now he was working on the Book of Boba Fett, right? He's working on Cassian Andor. He's working on the what's the next one that's coming? Gosh.
Acolytes.
No,
Acolytes and all
yeah,
that.
there's that one, but there's the one where Luke Darth Vader's going to be in and all that stuff. What is that?
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, there's a show. Isn't there a show with Darth Vader in it?
That's the first time hearing.
Obi-Wan?
Anakin Obi-Wan. Thank you,
Oh,
thank you,
Obi-Wan.
thank you.
Oh my God.
He's I couldn't for the life of me remember the show. He's working on 4 projects all at the same time. Okay. Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, and you're gonna love that I'm gonna say this, right? Boba Fett right now is kind of like the Mandalorian is kind of the jewel of the Disney Plus universe. You don't
Mhm.
think he's putting all that energy into that? These are side projects, especially Bad Batch. So
I don't
that's why
know.
I say I don't know how much influence and how much he's overseeing. He may be saying, "Hey, check this guy. Tell me what's going on." Okay, moving on. What's going on
I
over
don't
here
know.
with Boba Fett?
See that
With
sounds
Obi Wan, Cassian Andor?
that sounds
Give me
like
some stuff.
Kathleen Kennedy, not Dave Filoni.
True, but now Dave Filoni is being put into a bigger role. Before he was just
Yeah, he's the creative director. He's the one that decides what's going on.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel like there's less of a touch with this show because it feels different. It feels like it's not as well done as some of the other shows that
That's
he's
absolutely
done.
true.
So
That's true.
that's why I
But
say
it's all
it
right.
feels
I'm
like it's
gonna
different.
before we wrap this up real quick though, I do want to say this. Okay, I can, and this is just me hitting back just a little bit. Okay, it's it'd be one thing to be like, I can understand your point where you see he's the executive producer and he doesn't have his hands on, but we actually have precedent, because if the Mandalorian is the jewel and Dave Filoni is in direct, you know, if it's in his hands, the Mandalorian is in his hands. We all agree with that. Then he's already done this once with season 2 of the Mandalorian.
But he's also working with Favreau at the same time, also.
Yeah.
So there's a collaboration aspect to that there.
You know? All right. So is it worth watching? Do you guys need to like be on every single episode for our viewers? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that like every single one of our viewers or listeners rather need to be on episode, or should you just wait when you have like some time to watch it? Is it worth watching?
I hate to say it, but I'm not exactly on the edge of my seat here. um, and it's a shame because, like you guys said, it had a very intriguing first episode, and then they went and did this quote, I guess what you might call the safe route. Yeah, and it's really a shame. And, you know, the only reason why I brought up the Inquisitors is because you have less of a chance of inserting a kid with that group. That's all I'm saying.
The Little Inquisitor?
No, like
I don't know.
at best maybe you want to do a recruit who's trying to steal themselves up and like hunting down Jedi. Fine, but like none of this. I need to be saved crap. I'll bet you anything. If an Inquisitor was like cornered, they're there to fend for themselves, and that's it. You know. But okay, that's enough of that. This is Bad Batch. It's disappointing. Sorry. You know, I wouldn't say it's a page turner. So no, you don't exactly have to hang on every episode. Sorry.
You shouldn't watch it. It's not. There's nothing important about it.
Okay, hold on.
You can't say there's nothing important.
No, it's not. It's not really contributing to any story, really.
Right now.
Yeah.
Man.
So just don't watch it. It's not worth it. You're wasting like how long are each of these episodes?
Half an hour.
And how much episodes?
Less.
Yeah, it's about 23 minutes long.
You're wasting like 20 minutes. 20 minutes on each Wednesday for this show.
It's 10 episodes that we've done so
You're
far.
wasting. Wait.
He's basically, you're wasting my life away.
That's
That's what he
Wasting
wants to
your
say.
life
hours.
away. Yes,
Yeah.
you are wasting your life away on this show. It's not worth it.
Oh my God, Eli is so like, ugh.
He's out to
I think
kill
Eli.
today.
I think Eli's a perfect candidate to be an Inquisitor. Inquisitor Eli. On this episode, we have Inquisitor Eli as a guest host.
Using the corny saber. Right? Corny saber.
When he turns it on, a giant stalk of corn comes out.
Yes.
Oh goodness.
Oh my God.
Eli, you should do that. You should draw that.
Yes.
You should actually draw that.
Every time he slashes with it, it turns into popcorn.
The corn Jedi. So.
Oh my God. The
Man.
corn side. Walt, what about you?
You know what?
I mean, yeah.
Eli said something very interesting. Nothing important's happening in this show. Nothing of consequence. And I say that because yes, we're only 10 episodes in, but really
10 is a lot.
I know,
Yeah.
but I know, but that's what I'm saying. 10 episodes. Does this show impact anything of Star Wars? It really doesn't.
Except that Jabba has a Rancor, but that's it.
A Rancor
that kind of
he's
sucks,
named,
man.
right? That he's
You know what?
named.
Like, we got to talk about that for a hot second, man. Like, when that happened, when I saw the Rancor, I felt so bad. I was like, now, I hate that Luke killed the Rancor.
And they showed him.
Like,
They
I
showed
hate
him
Luke
as
for
a
it.
baby.
I
Again,
know he's so cute.
Going with the kids, right? Going with the kids thing.
I'm so mad. Yeah.
Maybe what they should have done is instead of Omega, maybe we have the Rancor for the entire season.
Yes.
Yeah, but then I would be sad for the whole season knowing that Luke killed
Ooh,
it.
no.
No, that's true. That's true too. You know, it's
Anyway.
it's nothing of consequences happening in the show. I think for me, If you're a diehard Star Wars fan and you need a Star Wars fix, then go ahead and watch the show. If you're more of a casual fan, maybe just check out social media. And when social media explodes and says, "Oh, this is what happened here," then maybe you check out that episode. I don't think you need to sit down and watch the entire show, because it's not impactful as of right now to the entire Star Wars universe. It's really sitting in this faraway corner, and quite honestly, to quote to kind of reference Loki, this is a timeline that really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a branch that, you know what, the TVA would not be going after these guys for. So
Yeah, I think I'm gonna echo all that stuff. It's a show that's not necessarily warranted for any kind of huge Star Wars development. To be honest, maybe all this stuff has a huge payoff very
yeah,
very far in the future.
it
You know what I
could.
mean? But I don't think that like it has like any kind. There's no need to watch it right now. This is gonna be one of those shows where like if you missed it, it's perfectly fine. And then when this movie comes out, oh, we need context, so let's watch Bad Batch. You know, I think it's one of those issues because I feel like what this show and The Mandalorian, for the most part, what they're doing is just immense world building, and that is all. They're showing us all these planets, they're showing us all these worlds, but they're not giving us any substance.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Watch what. This is what's gonna happen. The last 6 episodes are gonna blow us away, and we're gonna eat crow, right? And I kind of hope that does happen. You know, I want to be wrong about the show, I really do.
yeah.
But right now, it's not doing itself any favors.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So, that's the Bad Batch of episodes. Moving on to the other, house under the Disney Plus, banner is we're gonna, talk about Loki, and I already feel like we have Loki is only 4 episodes in, and it's I think that we already have like a pretty strong consensus on how we feel about the show. So just quick thoughts, like I mean, it's only been 4 episodes, but I'll say this for my thought is that I think that this is the best Marvel product on Disney Plus. I would even say the best, like one of the top 3 best Marvel products, maybe including all the movies. I love this show so much. What do you guys think?
I'm only gonna say one thing. It's great.
Okay, Eli.
Oh God, here we go.
Hold on.
Oh my God.
Here it comes.
No. I was
Corn saber out.
No. I was super duper excited when the show came out.
Was being the key word.
No. I am. Well.
Oh, okay.
I during that time I'm excited. Right? I was excited, right? And then when it came out, it was really good. But I don't know, it just maybe just to me it feels like it's sort of like I don't know. It's almost like it's not becoming stale, but I don't know. It's
really?
I don't know. I have this weird I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, and that's why I'm repeating myself.
Okay.
But it's like
Okay.
almost like it's going downhill, but not fast at all. Like I don't
Really?
Downhill.
No, it's not going
Downhill?
I don't know how to explain it.
The last episode was less action oriented.
That's what I'm saying. It's
if
like
that's what you're saying.
yes, okay.
Okay.
Really? Less
yeah.
action? Did you guys
They,
see
like
the last
invaded the TVA.
Oh no, I'm
What?
sorry. We're talking about the
Yeah.
I'm talking about the third episode. The third
Yeah, the
episode was
third.
the one that was less action oriented.
Yeah, when
The
they
third
found out-
episode, we're talking about a planet crashing into a moon and them trying to save themselves.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
know what?
but,
There
like-
was more. There was more of an emphasis on the plot and the relationship
Yeah.
between the two Lokis in that one.
That's true.
You know, that's
but less
why I say
oriented.
no. but I'm not saying that there was no action. I just said compared to the other ones, there was more of an emphasis of building that character relationship.
It's
You know
really
what I'm
interesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But overall,
but it was still good.
Yeah, overall, it's super good.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is any show that introduces Crocodile Loki, I'm in for.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Sorry, what?
Crocodile Loki. There were 4 Lokis in that end credit scene.
I
Yes,
saw
there
it. I
were.
saw original. I saw
Kid Loki had Crocodile Loki on his lap.
Yeah.
There was a crocodile with Loki horns. You didn't see
Yeah.
that part?
I'm gonna
I
Yeah, it's pretty
apparently
good.
did not.
Oh my gosh. I am
So-
all in for Crocodile Loki.
So here's the thing with me and the show. The reason I love the show so much is because of how much character development it has.
Jesus.
You know, I rewatched the first episode yesterday. Well, I basically resaw the 4 episodes all within the last 2 days all over.
Oh,
again.
okay.
And rewatching the first episode again, the first time I saw it was awesome. I thought it was great. The second time around, I got to actually focus, since I already knew what was going on. I got to focus on Loki's actual character development, and I realized that like in this show, Loki's entire world just comes crumbling down when he realizes that he isn't a god, that he isn't anything special.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that and that everything that he thought was true, which is that, you know, Thor's not his brother, his mother doesn't truly love him, and that his father isn't his father either. All that stuff was you know, that he was wrong about that stuff, you know. And we see him like, it's like his entire world gets crushed when all that stuff is revealed, and that he didn't have to be the Loki that he thinks he needed to be to become the god and gain the respect that he wants.
Mm-hmm.
In just the first episode, seeing that development and then seeing you know, everything else that has happened afterwards, to me that is, you know, one of the best things about comic books in general, which is just superb storytelling.
Yeah.
You know,
that's one thing that
So-
Marvel excels at, you know.
man, like the storytelling is so good, especially in the very last episode, where I don't want to like give these spoilers out, but you know, there was when someone, I guess as far as we know, is now no longer part of the show. That moment, it hit me hard.
Yeah, I know.
It
But
hit me hard, man.
is he? Because
Yeah, that we don't know.
That's the question.
That we don't know. Yeah,
Because the same thing happens to a main character, and we see him someplace else. So
right. So what are your favorite episodes? Going around the room real quick. What's your favorite moments? What's your favorite moment? Because I think that like all the episodes are pretty good. I think that we all can agree that they're pretty good. Maybe some better than others. But what's your favorite moment out of the 4 episodes so far?
AJ's thinking because this is a very hard question. I know
I'm
for me
afraid
it
to
is.
ask Eli.
Well, Eli looks like he's raring to go.
Singing Loki.
Oh, that scene was so good.
Singing Loki. That is amazing.
So we have dancing
Zemo cut.
Zemo, right?
God.
Now we need release the Loki cut, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so amazing, bro.
That was good.
Yes.
I don't think I have one.
You don't have a favorite moment?
Not well. I do find one moment very funny. I don't know that it's my favorite moment, but it's the one where I probably laugh the hardest.
Okay.
Where, oh God, the agent, what's his name? The TV agent, the analyst, Mobius, where he's talking with Loki and he's like, God, how messed up can you be that you can actually fall in love with yourself?
I know. Oh my gosh.
That had me laughing pretty hard. And I was like, wait, he actually did fall in love with himself. What the
Yeah.
hell?
You know, I love Mobius. I love Mobius, but I still can't separate him from Lightning McQueen. So
Nah, I can't. I think he's
he's awesome. I love
Yeah.
the mannerism that he has
Yeah.
to all his roles, but every time I hear him, all I see is the big red 95. You know.
You know, for me, oh sorry.
No. I'm gonna say one thing real quick. There's a lot of favorite episodes and favorite scenes that I enjoy in Loki, and I think the third episode really for me is probably one of the best because again, you take a character that's been pretty well fleshed out in the movies and you give him different layers in this one, which I didn't think was possible, right? But I will say there's one thing that kind of annoys me with the show. Um, it's showing how they've nerfed Loki in the movies. Because in that third episode, there's a point where a building is about to fall on him, and I don't know what he does, but he holds that thing up and just pushes it to the side with like some telekinesis or whatever. They've never shown how powerful Loki truly is in the movies.
Yeah,
I have a commentary on
actually
that.
surprised too.
No. I have a commentary on that.
Weird for me,
This is character development at its finest. You want to know why they haven't showed Loki do this? Because Loki didn't care to do anything like that. Loki didn't care to like be the savior. Now he has something that he's fighting for. He's a different character now.
True, but
right now he wants to like be like figure out what's going on at the bottom line of the TVA. Now he wants to save Sylvie and stuff like that. Before he was happy to see like people like perish and go through stuff. It's like, oh, that's kind of funny.
I would agree with that, except for one movie, and that's the original Avengers. Because in the original Avengers, he was full on bad. That is the time that I would have expected to see his full powers on display. Because he's leading an invasion, he's trying to actively take over, the Earth, and we didn't see any of that.
Well,
and
I mean, in
fighting
that first
against
movie,
the Avengers also,
right? That's what I'm saying, though. Like, it's the Avengers versus a building.
I know, but he got captured so easily. You know what I'm saying?
It's the Avengers.
But he didn't. But he didn't even put a.
And I don't think that he got captured that easily, though.
You know what? He didn't show. There was no powers on display for him there.
All he really did was use the scepter. That's it.
He was relying on the scepter. He has more powers that he at his disposal that he could have used. So that's the only thing I would say about that.
Well, the other thing too, like speaking of the scepter, keep in mind, look how much power and importance he put in the Tesseract. And then when in the TVA in that first episode, when he realized that there is no power in the Tesseract, he stopped relying or even wanting it or desiring it. Maybe that was part of that too. Now he's like, well, there's no power that I can use. It's nothing.
He could have thrown some of his powers around during the Hulk encounter, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever you want to call it.
I don't think like I think they've done I think Marvel has done a pretty good job of showing why everyone fears Hulk.
I you know what? I don't think they've done
stairs.
enough.
Not anymore.
I'm disappointed with the MCU's version of the Hulk, to be honest.
That's true. I mean, but that's a conversation.
That's another thing. But so
for me, I would say like my favorite moment is probably Mobius's turn from believing in the TVA to then deciding like, you know what, I'm joining Loki's side, and then rescuing Loki, and then the scene that followed immediately after.
Yeah,
because you just see the look in his face that he knows what's about to happen, but he just like, he steps forward anyway.
Jet skis. I mean, that is just horrible. It really
that scene right there when he knows that like what's about to happen, he just like what he does is like it's like he took a moment to see his life flashing before his eyes, and then he goes like he wanted his happy thought. My happy place would be the jet skis. That's what I would do.
That was devastating.
Then that like my jaw dropped. But anyway, all right. So is there anything more to say about Loki? Dude, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I think that like we can all agree that this is, well, I don't want to speak for you guys, but what do you guys think? Is this something that I guess is a worth your time to our listeners?
Is it
when I ask the question, it's do we make sure that we see the episode before we get on social media and get spoiled? That's why I asked this question, right? With Bad Batch, I kind of don't care. But with Loki, I'm making sure that I watch it before I see anything. That's my point. You guys?
Is it worth watching? Of course, it's worth watching. What?
It's good, man. It's
It is
good.
very good. Like,
Can't wait to hear Eli.
yeah, like I can't even the way they pulled the carpet out from under us with the last episode. I'm kind of curious what
Oof.
the heck even is really going on right now. Are they
Yes.
who they say
Oh
they
man.
are? Like what? Because I'm trying not to spoil it here, so that's why. But like,
You're in spoiler territory, so
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, fine then.
Are we talking about like the what you
like
call it?
towards the very end of the episode right now?
Yes. The three what you call it?
the 4 Lokis.
Or the Loki.
No,
Oh no,
I'm not
I was
talking
thinking
about
about the
that.
timekeepers.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm
the
talking about
timekeepers,
that.
yes.
Like what is going on? You
They're
know what I mean?
just they're just androids. Oh my gosh!
Which makes sense why, like, when one of them got killed, they all started laughing. Ha 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 ha. I was
You
like,
know,
what is I do not know
you
where
know
this
what'd
is
be
going at
weird?
all.
You know what's interesting that just popped into my head, and maybe this has nothing to do with anything, but remember when they're first bringing in Loki into the TVA, and he has to walk through
Yeah.
that thing, and the
Yeah.
guy says, "Well, the thing about robots is sometimes you don't know you're a robot."
Yes.
I wonder if that's gonna show up somewhere down the line with the
The
timekeepers.
irony.
You know what
Oh
I'm saying?
man.
Huh?
Interesting.
It just popped into my head right now, but it's like, why would they put that in there?
I mean,
They had to be foreshadowing to something, right? Because
I don't
Marvel
know.
doesn't do
Yeah.
things just for the sake of, right? So
Yeah.
just saying.
I was kind of thinking along a different track, and I don't know how stoked I'd actually be at the prospect of this, but since everything's turning out to be smoke and mirrors with the TVA, who else do we know is great with smoke and mirrors?
Loki.
What if
Another Loki?
it's the ultimate Loki variant?
Oh my gosh.
Like the true ultimate Loki variant.
I did not even think about that.
Wow. You know.
Dude. I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be upset if it's not now.
I'm not gonna be. I'd kind of want it to be someone that's not Loki, but if it happens, I'm just saying it now. I'm seeing it coming.
Okay. What about you,
Eli?
Eli?
But yeah, okay.
Is it-
You know, he was
He
scanning.
forgot
He
the
was
question.
that was his corn meter. He was scanning for corniness, scanning. Oh, yeah, no corny.
Is it extra butter or no butter at all? Lightly salted.
No.
Salted.
Bro,
Salted.
no. Wait, how many episodes are there?
So we've done 4.
Yeah, and there's only like 2 more.
There's
right?
2 more left.
Okay, so far this is an amazing show. I love how they pulled off the different Lokis. And Sylvie, who was like
Sylvie.
Enchantress. She's technically Lady Loki too.
She's amalgamation of both, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
You know, they kind of put those two together.
I love the idea that they're trying to go for. Well, they've always done originality, but it especially shows here with like a completely different story, and I love how they pulled it off. Loki, of course. I mean, there's nothing you could really say about that. He's still Loki. He's still a freaking awesome character. But I don't know. For 6 episodes,
4.
well, 4 so far.
Yeah.
You know what? It's good. It's good. That's all I really have to say about it. It's definitely worth watching and all that. Of course, you want to watch it before you get any spoilers on social media. But
Of
yeah,
course.
it's an amazing show.
I'm loving the show. It's weird because we all know that Loki is dead in the MCU, and this is almost like a tease of what Loki still could be, and unless something drastically changes, we may not get Loki anymore. This could be his curtain call, which is kind of sad if you think about it, because there's a lot that you could do with Loki still,
Man,
right?
I hope that's not the case, man.
Yeah, so do
because
I.
because to be honest, I think that Loki is a much better and more interesting character, especially after the show, than Thor.
It's
I'll say this:
true.
I think that Loki, these 4 episodes of Loki, to me, are better than any of the Thor movies.
Yeah.
Well, I have a love for Ragnarok. I really do. So,
It's because of Hulk.
well, hey, listen,
Oh,
it
It's
well,
is
not
what
even
it
because of
is.
Thor.
It is that
Ragnarok
is,
was
but it
awesome.
was a really good buddy cop movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
played each other.
yeah,
I think Thor still hasn't found his niche in the MCU yet.
yeah,
I think he's starting to get it a little bit,
yeah, yeah,
and stuff. But Loki has always been one of the most super interesting characters in
yeah.
the MCU. Period. And like I said, it kind of pains me that they have to do something. I hope he breaks the timeline like completely so that he's
Yeah, I hope
still
he saves
around.
himself.
Yeah,
I hope he
exactly.
saves himself, man. And I
Um,
hope he finds true love.
that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
What?
He's
I don't think
already
so.
in love
That's
with
not gonna happen.
himself.
I
Yeah,
think
well,
you're
yeah.
you're still gonna have that angst, But hey, you never know. I do definitely think you should watch the show. I think this show is one of these things that is going to have some meaning in the MCU.
Hmm.
Obviously, we were talking about this. Who's the big bad? I think you had
Yeah,
mentioned Galactus and stuff.
yeah.
I'm thinking just because we've already heard his name and we know that he's showing up and he just kind of fits the role is Kang.
I
But
called it.
I don't think they're going to introduce him in the show because,
Yeah.
they've already said that the shows are more to enrich the MCU than really tie
Hmm.
them back together. But um if you want a better understanding of Loki, you have to watch the show. I mean,
Yeah.
it is so good. I mean,
Well, but it's not just that.
even when it's slow, it's still awesome. You know what I'm
Here's the
saying?
thing: if you want a better understanding of the actual Marvel universe, you need to watch it
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we don't like this explains like how the multiverse is kind of how it works and how it's being controlled by something we've never heard of.
Yeah,
So
and
it's like a necessary watch.
oh, absolutely, I totally agree. And it's interesting because there is kind of um, and I don't know if it's going to be an actual thing, but you do tie it back a little bit to the Agents of Shield show, because the Agents of
Yeah,
Shield show introduced the life model decoys, which are
yeah,
basically people who are robots who don't know that they're robots, which
yeah.
again goes
I
back
know.
to that thing. So
Yeah.
I wonder how all this the thing, and the thing is they have 2 episodes left to wrap all this stuff up. There's a
Oh
lot to
man.
unpack.
Oh,
There's a
that's
lot
killing
to
me.
unpack there,
God
you know.
dang.
So
All right. Well, I think that ultimately we've decided that Bad Batch. Well, Loki is a must watch, and the Bad Batch is a wait and
Trash.
see.
eh,
I don't think the Bad Batch is don't watch it. But this is the first time we're kind of doing something like this. So I think we got 3 gradings, right? Must watch, wait and see, skip it.
Yeah.
I think Bad Batch is in the wait and see
yeah, I
kind of
wouldn't say
category.
skip
So
it
Yeah.
necessarily, but it's not super important so far. We still
yeah,
have 6 more
yeah,
episodes, so they still have time to right the ship.
yeah. All
All
right.
right, so I would I think we're good with this episode. You know what I'm saying? I think we're all pretty much in agreement with the 2 shows, right?
Yeah, for
I don't
sure.
think I don't think there's any question about that. So, on that note, we are recording on July the 4th. So, for all of our
Ah,
American listeners,
yes.
I do have to, I know you're going to listen to this on Monday, right? Because as soon as the episode drops, you listen, right, guys?
I
But
hope so.
yeah, but like I said, for all of our American listeners, we want to wish you guys a very happy and a very safe July 4th. We haven't had this type of celebration in about almost 2 years now, right?
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
2 years.
because we had to skip last year because of for obvious reasons. So guys, go out there and enjoy yourselves. Please be safe. Please have a great time. If you're in New York, check out the fireworks. And on that note, I'm going to say from all of us here, do I do the Stay Geeky? Do I still do that? I mean, I know that's kind of Jose's thing, right? But
ladies and gentlemen, stay geeky, my friends.
There you go. Later, peeps.